All right, this is the parallel and perpendicular worksheet. For the first three, you're just supposed to tell of a line. What would be the slope of a line that's parallel to what you're seeing and perpendicular to what you're seeing? So this line has a slope of 3/5. So if we're parallel, that means we have the same slope. So we'd have exactly the same as that. We'd have a slope of 3/5. If we were perpendicular, that slope would flip over and we'd change it from a positive to a negative. For this line here, this slope is -5 or -5/1. Okay, so parallel would be exactly the same. It would be a slope of -5. For perpendicular, we're going to flip that over and change it from a negative to a positive. So it would be +1/5. For number 3, we have to get y by itself first. So we'll have 4y equal 5x plus 16, and then divide everything by 4. We end up with y equal to 5/4 x plus 4. All right, so 5/4 is our slope. So if we're parallel, we have exactly the same, 5/4. Perpendicular, flip that over, change it from a positive to a negative, there would be our slope. All right, so that's what we're doing here, 1, 2, 3. Then these are asking us to compare the two lines and see if they're parallel, perpendicular, or just simply intersect. So for number 4, this has a slope of 2, and this one has a slope of -1/2. They're not the same, so they're not parallel, but if you do flip this one over and change the sign, you do get this one. So they're perpendicular. Because if you flip one and change the sign, you get the other. For these, you have to get y by itself, so subtract 3x. We'll get 2y equals -3x plus 6, and then divide everybody by 2. We get y equal to -3/2 x plus 3. The slope is -3/2. Over here, if you subtract 12x, we get 8y equals -12x plus 16. Divide everybody by 8, and y equals -12/8 x plus 2. Now, the slope here is -12/8. However, -12/8, if you reduce it, is -3/2. So even though maybe it didn't look like it at first, once you simplify, you see that they are the same slope, so that means they're parallel. For number 6, this one has a slope of 5. If we add 2x over, we get y equals 2x plus 10. This one has a slope of 2. Slope of 5, slope of 2. Not the same, so they're not parallel. You also can't flip one and change the sign to get the other. And so therefore these just intersect. And that's it. Okay. For this one, slope here is 4/3. This one we got to get y by itself. So we're going to subtract 3x. 4y equals -3x plus 22. And then divide everybody by 4. Y equals -3/4 x plus what ends up being 25.5. We'll keep it 22/4. We don't really care about that. What we're looking at is the slope, which is -3/4. Okay? So not the same, so not parallel, but if you take this, flip it, change the sign, you do get this, and so they're perpendicular. So that's what you want to do on all of these here is you just find the slope and then compare the slopes. If they're the same, they're parallel. If you can flip one and change the sign to get the other, they're perpendicular. If you can't do either of those things, then they just simply intersect. And now we're taking information of a line and we're creating an equation using our point slope form. So for number 8, we're going through the point -2, 5, and we're parallel to this. Now if we're parallel, that means we have the same slope. So since this has a slope of 2/5, we're going to have a slope of 2/5 as well. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Y minus the 5 equals slope, same slope, 2/5, times x minus -2. So x plus 2. There's our equation. Okay? Just like that, we just have to get the slope off of this idea. So this one here, same thing, we got a point, and we're perpendicular to this. This has a slope of -3/5. Since we're perpendicular, that means our slope, it was just going to be a flip and change the sign. So if you have -3/5, flip it, 5/3, change it from a negative to a positive. So that's the slope of our line, and it goes through this point. So y minus -2, y plus 2 equals slope times x minus x. There's your equation. Okay. And then for this last one, we go through this point, we're parallel to this line. So that means we have the same slope as this line. We just have to figure out what the slope of this line is. This line goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1, 2. So it has a slope of 5 halves. So since we're parallel to it, our slope's going to be 5 halves. If we were perpendicular, we'd have to flip it, make it negative 2/5. But we're using that slope, that point, y minus negative 8, y plus 8, equals slope times x minus the x. There's our equation. So hopefully that feels all right. You did okay on that.